Hello, designers. This is Rebecca, and this is your assignment for Late Modern Villain Critique. So, using Adobe Photoshop, we're going to create a portrait of the villain of your novel, incorporating elements inspired by the late modern movement. So, the requirements are that it was a CMYK document, 6 by 9 inches, portrait format only. The figure must be from a photograph that you shot yourself for this project. The image must be retouched. You can choose a color scheme from the swatch library in Photoshop. You must include texture effects specifically covered in this section. Text is mandatory for this in the form of a quote from or about your villain. And you may only use the fonts from the supplied font list below, which is very limited for this assignment. And you may use a maximum of 2 fonts, but you can't have any typos. I do have to say, this is the best batch of villain portraits I've seen since teaching this class. So way to go, you guys. I love them. Let's get started. First up is Julianne. Julianne did the book 1984, and I'm getting some Reed Miles vibes from this. I love this portrait. The light on the face is so subtle. Overall, very dark and moody. The only thing is that it's so dark that I can't read the text like at all. So I do recommend bringing up the color of the text a bit more. I can read the 1984, but I can't read the quote. And there is a white mark right here. I don't know if that's intentional. So, and also down here in this corner. So just, adjust those things for the final before you put this portrait into your final layout. Other than that, great photography skills, and the layout looks pretty nice. I do recommend moving this text over to the right just a bit more. You want to have about 1/4 of an inch margin around the edge of the whole document. Okay, thank you so much. Next up is Max. Max's book is The Road. This is really cool, Max. I'm glad that you were able to get your hands on one of those masks. Really lovely layout. I'm getting like Edward Munoz Cardenas vibes from this. I'm getting Nico vibes. I'm getting Renee vibes. So it's really cool. I love it. I love the fonts that you chose. All this capital, all caps fonts is very dramatic, and I like that you made the by smaller. So way to go with some visual hierarchy. Really nice. Really great job with your quotes. I love this halftone pattern. I love the kind of sepia tone color that you gave it to not make it just completely black and white. The layout, the composition's really beautiful. So awesome job, Max. Way to go. I love it. Next up is Dawn. Dawn's book is Where the Crawdads Sing, and Dawn's portrait is of Chase. This is awesome, Dawn. I love the text effects that you added to the word Chase, to the name Chase, I should say. It's very psychedelic. I'm getting maybe some Renee vibes from this mixed with some Miles, Reed Miles mixed with maybe Nico. I don't know. There's so many different influences here. And yeah, the composition's great. I really like how he's looking up and it looks like he's looking up at the text. Really nice. I think that I do recommend maybe left aligning this text instead of centering it. And just check and see if you have a space between Letten and ya. It looks like there's a space missing. But other than that, really nice work, really great filters. I love the dramatic red, black, and white. I love the grain that you added over the entire piece. Really lovely, Don. Way to go. Next up is Andre. Andre's book is Judo Boy. Andre, this is so great. I love these vibrating colors. It's reminiscent of Felix Beltran or Olivia Martinez. Really lovely. I like this fun treatment that you made with the lockers for the L's. That's really great. Nice touch, and it's nice to balance that blue with the top of the in the top of the composition with the blue in the figures below. So that's really nice. I love this kind of rule of thirds layout that you have going on with the text on the top third, their eyes falling along that third line, the top third line. Really, really great. I also like the perspective of this, like kind of shot from above them. It's really, really nice instead of just straight ahead from the regular, eye line of us just standing on the ground. Really great um, choice there. I love the grain that you added, and I like this kind of primary color. It's like a play on primary colors palette. It's really awesome. The duotone in the figures is really great. It's all really nice. Fantastic. Way to go. Next up is Megan with Crazy Rich Asians. This is Miss Young, and this is awesome. It's so psychedelic, Megan. I love that. I love this grainy texture that you added, and the figure in black and white repeating over and over again. I see the Elena Serrano influence, but you'd made it totally your own as well by having this text melt through the whole thing in a really psychedelic, wavy way. The color palette is really fun. It's a really neat piece. I love it. Really cool. And I love the color palette. I like that pink on pink in the center. It's really cool with that vibrant, like royal blue around the outside. You got some vibrating colors there a bit between the blue and the green. Really great choices here. Awesome job, Megan. Way to go. Next up is Kelvin. Kelvin also did Crazy Rich Asians. I like when people in the class choose the same book because how different is this from Megan's? They're so different. You even chose a different character to be the villain. So, really nice work here. I'm getting Renee Cardenas vibes from this, and I love it. I love this halftone pattern in the figure on the bottom. I really like this dramatic composition too, just giving a lot of emphasis on the text with just enough of the figure's face, the eyes kind of creeping over that bottom baseline. It's kind of creepy and very intimidating, as well as um, just really compelling, really nice composition. Nice work there. So, just a few things about the text. So, we have this text in there being the second largest right here. So that tells me we start down here at the character's name, which is great. Also, having the character's name be red and nice and bold is another way to emphasize that visual hierarchy that we want the reader's eye to go basically from her face to her name. So then it wants us to jump to this second group of text because that's the next largest size, plus it's italicized, so you're emphasizing it. And then up here to the top, plus we have the 30 seconds highlighted, and then back down here to the fourth. So I don't know if this was intentional, Kelvin. So if it wasn't intentional for us to jump between the middle of the quote to then to the top to then to the bottom, I recommend if it's not intentional for us to read it that way, to change the sizes around to make this your second largest, then the third, and keep this the fourth largest if you want us to read through the text from the beginning of the quote. All right. I also recommend when you break up quotes like this that you give us 3 ellipses at the end here and then at the beginning here. And then same with down here to the beginning of this so that we know that it's all one big long sentence. That's just kind of the correct way to format breaking up text like that. All right. You could also put quotes after the ellipses, but I don't think you need to in this case because it's all on one document and it's close enough together that we get that it's one quote. Okay. Well, great. Thank you so much. Next up is Cheyenne. Cheyenne did the crone one. Cheyenne, I'm also getting Renee as Cui Cardenas vibes from this. It's very dramatic and just like a really nice, simple centered layout is lovely. I love the photo that you have here. Um, I love this texture that you created outside of this frame, and these nice bold red lines are really great. I like that the thickness of the line is changing. It's thinner here and it's a little thicker at the top and thicker even more at the bottom. So that's a really nice touch. And this quote is incredible. It's really, really just villainous. It's so dark. It's awesome. I don't know if you meant to, but I like that this her hair is a bit lighter than this darker background to kind of separate it. And it kind of brings your attention to the hair even more because it's this sort of matte black. It's really neat. I love it. I love her expression. Like, so good. Your model did a great job. Way to go. Thank you so much. Next up is Violet. Violet did the Hunger Games. Violet, this is really cool. I'm getting sort of some Renee as Cui Cardenas vibes, maybe some Nico vibes. Um, Actually, now that I think about it, It's probably mostly some twin vibes with this beautiful sans serif text and the way you laid it out. So really awesome. I like these horizontal rules that you have here to break up the text a bit and kind of frame the figure's face is really nice. I love the like two-tone filter that you applied, the two-tone black and white filter. I guess it would be three-tone because we have white, black, and then this middle gray here. That's really, really beautiful. That middle gray really brings out a lot more details, doesn't it? It's lovely, really cool, really lovely composition and layout of this text. Awesome choices there, Violet. Thank you so much. Next up is Tate. Tate did the kite runner. Tate, this is such a great photo. It's so ominous with the sky, with everything being so red and black. It's a great perspective. Yeah, I think it's wonderful. Really good job this time. I'm getting some Reed Miles vibes from this. And I like the rule that you put here between the kite runner and your author's name. You don't need to add the kite runner or the author's name to this piece, but you know, it's there, so it's all right. Great, great layout of your text and wonderful job with the information hierarchy, making that quote nice and large, making obvious that that's what you want us to kind of to see first. Plus, it's it's nice and readable up there in that top corner. So that was a really great choice. I like that you grounded this whole image with this black gradient up from the top. Really cool. And it kind of helps to hide that wall just a bit, but the wall works nicely in the background to help frame your character a bit and separate your character from the landscape in the background. So all really great choices here. Way to go, Tate. Next up is Cecilia. Cecilia's book is The Legend of Drit's Homeland. Cecilia, this is so cool. I see Felix Beltran here and I love it. I love these horns. I love this color palette. Really cool choices. So the color palette isn't super psychedelic like Felix's, but it's more villainous. You know, this like gorgeous purple that's like a grayish purple with this beautiful maroon is really neat choices. And I love the black and white, the contrast there is lovely. So having that stark white there really it pulls our eye to the figure first. Having the white highlights in the horns helps our eye to go up there and like realize that this character has these rad horns. Way to go. Yay, Photoshop. And then you have this text down the side. So that all works for me. I like that it's mostly one letter on each line. So it looks very intentional. I'm sorry, not one letter, one word on each line. So it looks very intentional. It's just really great. Really love it. Really love it. I was just reading through. Looks good. Looks good. Way to go! Next up is Valeria. Valeria did Love in the Time of Cholera. So Valeria, this is more of a mid-century modern layout, and it's reminiscent of the Paul Rand tutorial that I made. So I recommend redoing this as the late modern tutorials that are in the module. Next up is Christine. Christine did Paper Towns. Christine, this is so cool. This is like a mix between Nico and Elena Serrano, but your own version of it, and I really like it. I think it's really neat how you did this sort of multiple exposure effect. I like this ghosted version down here, and then we have this one up here over its own colored screen in the background. You have a bit of vibrating color with this red and blue here, and down here, really nice. And then I like that you even doubled the text to give it even more kind of emphasis and drama. It turned out really great. This is a nice pit photo. I love all of it. I love the filter, the effect that you made on the photo. It's all really cool. This nice like brush effect that you made down here is really lovely. Yeah, it's really cool. Awesome job, Christine. Thank you. Next up is Anthony. Anthony did The Great Gatsby. Great photo here, Anthony. I love it. Your Tom Buchanan model is looking very smug and rich, just like Tom Buchanan. And yeah, I love this Reed Miles feel. I love what you did with the light here. Really smart choice to have it side lit so we get this dramatic kind of profile in the shadow. Really cool. Nice vibrating color up at the top too, with the Tom Buchanan being in this really punchy red with a hint of orange in it, vibrating off of the orangey yellow background. It's really, really awesome. Actually, kind of like a yellowish, I'm sorry, an orangey green background. So you got like a duotone. That's a cool effect. Really nice there. Good layout of the text, like good formatting. It all looks really wonderful. So I do recommend, you don't have to change it for this assignment, but if you do take photos in the future, now that you know how to use Photoshop, to blur out the stucco or the bumpy wall in the background. Um, just because, you know, Las Vegas has a lot of stucco, as we know, but back then, when this book was written, that wasn't like a thing that they used a lot, and it could just be. It does add texture to the photo, but I don't know. It could be just a distracting texture. So you don't have to change it for my assignment for this or my class. Just in the future, I recommend changing it. Okay, thanks so much. Next up is Alexis. Alexis' book is Throne of Glass. I really love these vibrating colors, Alexis. I love your model's expression. It's really great. And the added on crown is a really nice effect. I'm getting Felix Beltran from this. I'm getting Renee Cardenas from this, even some Nico thrown in. So really nice, really lovely. The vibrating colors are great. I love the blue and the red playing off of each other. Once again, I like your use of this sort of play on the primary palette with the gold representing the yellow, and then you've got this royal blue, and then this like deep blood red is really gorgeous. So that's nice. And I like the black for the text. It balances the composition really nicely when you know, balance your colors on the top as well as on the bottom, because the shirt is so dark, it could have really made the bottom part of this document feel heavy. And so it's nice to have, not document, part of this image feel heavy. So it's nice to have that balance with the black text along the top. And the text is laid out really nicely. I like the italicized use there. Nice font. Way to go. Great job. Next up is Diane. Diane did Robinson Crusoe. This is a great photo, Diane. This is also a wonderful use of these vibrating colors with the red and the green next to each other. Um, I see some Felix Beltran here, some Renee Escui Cardenas as well. It's just really dramatic, really nice work there, and really great work with the font and the quote. It's nice and simple. Great font choice, great layout. I love the red balancing the bottom, the heavy red on the bottom with the red text at the top. And it's really nice. Turned out great. Way to go. Last up is Megan. Megan did It Ends With Us. Megan, this is gorgeous. I love an array in the background. It's reminiscent of the arrays that Antonio Rebraro did in his work, as well as it is very Felix Beltran with the vibrating colors on the figure in the foreground. Just having this two-tone red and blue is lovely. I love this multiple exposure, very Nico. There's so many artists being represented in this piece, but it's your specific, unique spin on it, and it's gorgeous. I love that the text is in black, balancing those black stripes across or along the top there. It's just so powerful. Like it's really lovely. It's also reminiscent of Alfredo Roscard's piece with the portrait of Che with like the rainbow array inside of him. So it's just a really great job there. So along the bottom, I recommend keeping Who Sometimes Do Bad Things all on one line. So you only have 4 lines of text here. And because if you notice, because Who Sometimes doesn't have any descenders, any letters that drop below that baseline, like a lowercase J, G, P, Y, it appears that this line spacing is larger than the letters above it. And so it's not, but it will also be, it'll help kind of anchor this text even more by having the last line be the longest line out of all 4 lines there. So that's the only change I recommend. Other than that, I love the font choice. I love the effects, the layout. It's gorgeous. Way to go. So thank you so much, everybody. Like I said, this was the best batch of villain images I've ever seen. You all did such a great job in your photo shoots. You made wonderful choices, not only during your photo shoots, but with the effects that you chose. I loved seeing how you mixed different artist styles in this. Just so unique. This is so wonderful to see your progression. I see it in all of your work here, and it's really fantastic. Way to go, everybody.